reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter, brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter. And by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapon with Doghouse Systems.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 300! Woohoo! I'm excited, but I fear, unfortunately, that I need to
Calm the F down.
And to help me calm the F down, I have brought none other than the wise, the benevolent, the star of stage and screen, Mr. Harry Hall. Hello, Harry.
Well, hello. And I must say, since I have left the show, I have completely lost my Dutch accent.
I love that that's where you started. Because you never lost your Dutch
I finally reached a state of happiness. I'm sorry, I think it's pronounced happiness.
You are bringing a little bit of the French accent with you when you talk English.
What you talk about
Oui?
is this perfect North American English accent. I've been working on that with a dialect coach, but to be fair, she was from Paris. Okay, I'm sorry. This is just ridiculous. I'm sorry. This is the 300th episode, and this is the way I start. I'm ashamed of myself. I should be spanked.
Well, okay, but I'm not if you're asking, I'm not offering. Just so you know. And of course, we have the ever so wonderful, ever so lovely Mr. at MMO Bill. Hello, Bill.
Hello, and is that a threat or an offer for the spanking there, Harry? Because
I think this is a good time for me to shut up already.
This is going to be a long show because we're not going to be able to say anything without laughing for 30 seconds after it. But we do have some stuff to talk about. We are going to do a show here. We're going to start with the regular because I know, Harry, we've talked about this before. When we talk to some of our listeners and they tell us some of our favorite parts of the show and the different segments that they like, one of the most common things that I hear is people really enjoy hearing about our gaming experiences, what we're playing, and the different adventures that we have in games. So we're going to start with that. And as you have been away for over a year, leaving us
Has
alone.
it been that long?
At about a year, because it was
Okay.
it was pre my surgery, and my surgery was a year
Oh, yeah.
ago this November. So it's been a while. So why don't you start and let us know some of the highlights, not everything, and more recent than what you played on September 10th, 2016. No, you want the old stuff, Bill?
I want every single game itemized and alphabetized.
Right.
Go.
And as Harry starts here, I just want to mention to everyone who is live, we do have a poll running right now for everyone in the chat room. Just hover over the video, click on the little icon that comes up, and we have a poll. How many MMOs are you currently playing? We'd love to hear from our chat room, so go ahead and click on that and let us know. I'll let everybody listening know the results in just a little bit. So, Harry, what have you been playing? First of all, how many MMOs are you playing?
Let me get the list. 1 second. Actually, I've been almost MMO free for the past year.
You say that like it's a disease. Like I've been cured of it. I've been MMO free now. The treatment has worked, and I'm now cured.
Nah, it's really not. I have
I'm not one of those bitter ex-MMO players who now thinks MMOs are stupid. Not at all. I've just played so much of them for so long that at a certain point I felt I've seen most it had to offer. And that's on me. That has nothing to do with the genre. Well, maybe a little bit. The only MMO I've actually recently played was Elder Scrolls Online, but we're going to get to that later, I think. My main PC activity has been virtual reality gaming. As you might recall, the last time we spoke, I was about to receive or just received my Oculus Rift CV1, which I got in, I think, August 2016, so that's just about a year ago.
And that kind of explains why you haven't been on the show since then.
I've been basically living in the Matrix. Yeah, that's true. Well, I kind of, as a journalist, I kind of switched speciality from MMO gaming to virtual reality, which is an interesting field because it's all new and all new kinds of things are happening and genres are being developed. And it's, as a journalist, as a writer, it's really exciting to be on that field currently. And played a couple of great games. I must recommend everybody to play the game called Echo Arena, which is an Oculus Rift exclusive game with a little bit of hackery. You can play it on an HTC Vive, but don't just get a Rift. It is the most amazing game experience I've had, I think, since I played the first version of Guild Wars 2, which also kind of blew me away and really made me fall in love with gaming again. Echo Arena is a very easy to understand sports game in 0G, where teams of 3 against 3 have to put a disc into the other team's goal, and the arena is very, very reminiscent of Ender's Game. If you've seen Ender's Game, the movie, there's this battle room, and if you read the book, it goes on and on about it, but this is one of the most amazing ideas in the book and in the movie. And it looks just like that, and it is in 0G, and one of the most amazing things about this game is they've solved the motion problem. One of the big problems with virtual reality is that if you try to do what they call artificial locomotion, which is kind of moving like you're used to in flat games, you get sick. Many people experience nausea or vertigo, and it's not comfortable for the majority of players. Echo Arena is full motion in 3D by pulling yourself from obstacles, and you have little rockets in your wrists, and you fly like Superman by pointing in the right direction and engage the rockets, and it works so well. And
can you push yourself off stuff too? Like if you get near a wall, can you push and it'll?
That's very important to do that. You can grab onto other players as well. And one of the first things you do, it started around you. You are in a staging area with 5 tubes, and you get into the tube, and there is this launching ring that propels you forward, kind of a catapult.
Right.
And if other players hang on to you, they get propelled forward, and then they can push themselves off you for extra speed. So, and you can do that with enemy players as well. So there is so much dynamic move. It's kind of the best way to describe it, I think, is Rocket League in virtual reality in 0G.
Right.
It's
I
that
totally get the Ender's Game reference that you were talking about. Totally get that.
It sounds amazing. Now, Chris is showing the video clip of it there. Is it a room scale type experience? Is it something that can be done sitting and
I would say it's a room destruction game. I have to say I have a room scale setup in my office. So I have 3 sensors, so I have 360-degree tracking, and the Oculus Rift, just like the HTC Vive, has a guardian system. So if you move towards the boundaries of your play area, a grid appears.
Okay.
You will not see that grid while you're playing Echo Arena. And I know because I've honestly hit my HD television with the Oculus controller several times without damage, which is amazing because I really hit. One of the gameplay mechanics is hitting another player in the head, and they will be knocked out for 3 seconds, so they can't move. It is a very important part of the game. And if somebody's hanging on your feet and you're trying to hit them, so you're punching downwards, and there is a television in the way, you have a problem. I have actually knocked the light out of my reading light. I have destroyed my desk lamp. It's now hanging together from rope and duct tape. I have punched a shelf out of my IKEA bookcase.
I've punched my bookcase so hard that it's widened so the shelves can't fit anymore. I've almost broken my finger. There's just not that much in this office that I haven't hit during Echo Arena, but it's so good.
What I'm picking up from this is that this, as the future of virtual reality, is essentially the holodeck, not because of the immersive experience, but rather so that there's no objects for you to actually destroy while you're in virtual reality.
Right.
I would say that is as accurate as it gets. I mean, I think if I want a gymnasium for this. I want to have this. It's at a certain point I realized that I just had to narrow my boundaries, and I've learned to adjust. I had to, because who can afford another television? It's just so. And I got a big box that I put in front of my television set whenever I'm playing, which looks ridiculous, but who cares? But it's still the amazing experience is not only is it a great game with a lot of depth and people are getting new. It's just like Rocket League. If you played Rocket League at the start, it was everybody going after the ball, not knowing how the controls work. And if you look at the game now, people are so sophisticated and have so many tactics and roles, and that's this game as well. And I must say, I'm now a level. You have levels in the game that you're not there. There are no upgrades, but there is a level system. I'm level 50, the max level. I've played for 70 hours, I think, and I'm now one of the. I dare say it. I am one of the top players in the world. That says as much about me as about the player base.
How many people are playing?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I do want to mention something, and I've been showing a few different videos from YouTube about this. And the one thing that really gets me is that even just watching on YouTube, the two videos that had lower frame rates were starting to make me feel a little nauseous. And the one that had a higher frame rate wasn't doing the same. It's really interesting how frame rate is so important in VR. How are you finding any issues with that, with this particular game, because it is so non-gravity based?
The two things. First, yes, a frame rate in VR is important. That's why every VR game must hit 90 frames per second. I've had one instance that I got sick, and that's because Windows 10 decided it was high time to install an update while I was playing the game.
Oh.
And my frame rate went to crap, and then immediately you get nauseous. But that's one thing. There are a couple of very clever things in Echo Arena that prevent nausea. And the first of them is that by default setting, there is no slow turn. You can turn around, but you're turning around yourself, but you're not turning via a stick. If you use a stick to turn, it's like snap turning, and that is very comfortable. The second is up and down is fixed, so it's not like Ender's Game where you can say the enemy gate is down. Okay. Because if you would have free rotation, that would be a barf fest, and I can tell from experience. I know how to projectile vomit ever since I got a VR headset. So it's because the floor it's more akin to swimming with endless oxygen than it is to actual genuine zero-G, which would make everybody throw up. But still, the sense of freedom, the sense of speed, and the sense of teamwork. It's an incredibly fun community. There is an actual esports league now, and I'm so tempted to join up and just be part of a team. And not that I can win, but because it's so much fun to have actual, genuinely good players to play with.
Yeah. Well, that sounds exciting. That's a lot of fun. Now, you were also mentioning in the pre-show about your caloric output as you play this as compared to other exercise regimes that you may follow.
Well, I do some running, and that's why I have some baseline experience. I have an Apple Watch, and not to say that the Apple Watch is the most accurate tracker of calories. There's been a lot of articles that it's off by several percent, but that doesn't matter. If you look at if you can compare, I mean, you can compare what it registers in one activity and the other, and you can say this burns more calories than the other. 45 minutes of playing Echo Arena is burning more calories than 45 minutes of running, for me.
Wow.
Oh wow.
And I've noticed this by when I started playing. I go downstairs, and my girlfriend said, "Did you go into the shower with your clothes on?" Because I was drenched. I was Mr. Wet T-shirt, and that wasn't a pretty sight. None of us were happy about that, but it was what it was.
Wow, that's kind of funny. Okay, what else have you been playing? Anything else?
Well, most recently, I've been getting into Destiny 2. I received a code for that game on Friday and installed it on Saturday because I didn't have much time. I played for a couple of hours yesterday and today. And the shocking conclusion I must come to is that it is basically like Destiny 1, but more sophisticated and a little prettier. But with a lot of things added to it that actually should have been the game in the first place.
Here's my question: is that a bad thing?
Yes and no.
I didn't realize it was that hard of a question.
Well, it is a very good. I've played a lot of Destiny in its different iterations because the first version was apart from the shooting mechanic that was solid, was pretty crappy and not that good. And many iterations when then Taken King was a good expansion that really lifted the game to a higher level. And I've played maybe 100 hours of Destiny. So after all that, getting into a game that's basically that game but a little better, it's not the wow moment that I hoped for. It's not, or not that I actually expected it, because everybody was very clear this is going to be Destiny but a little bit better. But I think if this was the game they launched with, everybody would have been blown away. And everybody would have forgotten about Halo, and Bungie would have been the greatest shooter developer ever. But, but it's good. It's fun. One of the great things about the game is that it is much more. You're staying in the world much more, and there are lots of little sub-quests and missions to do, and it feels very World of Warcraft-like in its quest structure, but then with that solid shooter mechanic, and it is a lot of fun. So I'm actually happy to be playing a traditional, old-fashioned flat game once in a while.
Do you think that the improvements that you're seeing in it now could have been implemented into Destiny, or did it require a new game?
I'm not sure about that. I think they've done a lot of tweaking in the engine to make it more. The open world is more populated by other players. There is more of a feeling that you are in a living environment. Public quests are a bigger part of the thing. So I think they've done a lot of work under the hood that I, as a non-developer, can't really say. I doubt that they could have done the same things with the first game without drastically, like doing a Final Fantasy XIV refits. So I understand that it's genuinely a sequel, and it's not. It doesn't feel cheap in that sense. It isn't, because it's damn expensive. But we'll get to that.
And as Misfit is saying in the chat room, and Bill is agreeing with, us PC players are all quite jealous of this, of the fact that we don't get to play until mid-October, late October, even. I guess really when you look at it, Bill, it's completely. It's just. Oh, sorry about that. It's just a chance to jump into Guild Wars 2.
Well, that is very considerate of the Destiny people to make sure that we've got a good amount of time to get started with Guild Wars 2 before we play Destiny 2. In my case, it makes me a little bit happier, actually. In one way, it makes me happier because I can still keep farming gold in World of Warcraft to pay for my Destiny game, because that's still my long-term goal there. Not because Destiny's too expensive or anything like that, even though maybe it is. I just, out of principle, want to buy Destiny 2 with WoW gold. There's something very, I don't know what, je ne sais quoi, about buying another game with my WoW gold.
I think you're onto something there. But I must say, to respond to the PC players, I mean, just be thankful you get to play this game. I mean, last time around you were on the bench. At least you're getting to play it now.
Yes, and I'm not going to lie, I was more than a little bitter about that.
About the first game not going to PC?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
That was a big pout from me about that, as I recall.
I can imagine. I mean, but then again, you kind of missed a prolonged beta for the actual Destiny, which now arrives.
Fair.
Maybe that's the way to see it. I mean, you're getting the better game now.
When Destiny came out, was it coming just as the new generation of consoles was coming out, or did it release on PS3 and 360?
It did release on PS3 and 360, but it was genuinely a reason to get a new console. And the 360, I've seen it. It wasn't that bad, but I think they stopped supporting.
They did for the last DLC. It wasn't supported on the. It wasn't supported at all on the PS3 or the Xbox 360. I played it on Xbox 360, and I enjoyed it on that. And then I jumped over to PS4 when I got it.
It's it's a
and
much prettier game, obviously, on the newer consoles.
Yeah, it is for sure. Okay, what have you been playing, Bill?
Well, for me, I've been trucking along in Guild Wars 2. People would normally, in this kind of stage of things, kind of be preparing for the new expansion. I really don't have anything to prepare, and I'm just running on hype juice in Guild Wars 2 right now. I don't want to do too much in terms of progression, because with the new elite specializations that are come in, it's altogether possible, if not likely, that I'm going to be changing my class anyway, and I'm going to be starting from the beginning, but I'll be having a whole new set of goals very shortly. But at the same time, I want to do stuff in Guild Wars 2. I've got that hype going. So I've been picking away there. I finally finished the Ascended back piece that you got from the Season 1 story. So the back piece that was kind of first made available just about 4 years ago now, I finally finished. And it's beautiful. It glows. It's all spiky. It looks like wings, except they're made of metal. It's cool. So anyway, so that was my Guild Wars 2 time. And other than that, I've been, just as I kind of mentioned, I've been doing my World of Warcraft gold farming, because, like I said, that my goal is to keep solvent in Legion. I haven't paid for a subscription in World of Warcraft since Legion came out. So I've got that going for me, and then I'm trying to throw money into my Blizzard account with those WoW tokens as well. And I'm about halfway to buying the deluxe edition of Destiny 2. I think I've got about 45 American dollars in my kitty for that. And with the recent patch, there's been a few gold making markets that have opened up, and I've actually been making gold at kind of a faster clip than I was doing before the patch. So like I was saying, at the end of October, I think I could probably make it to buy Destiny 2.
That's pretty exciting.
It is, and like I said, it's more the principle of it. Again, the money is has nothing to do. I'm not so smitten with Destiny 2 that I desperately need to buy it. I am interested and it looks good, and I'm not so broke that I need to spend WoW gold to buy a game that I could normally just take a chunk out of my paycheck for. It's the absolute principle of taking the fake money from one game and applying it and turning it into a new game.
I think it's an amazing way of doing this. Yes, I agree. I support this plan.
And I'm genuinely curious. I'm not sure if I'm actually contributing to the Blizzard marketplace or if I'm making it worse for them. Because the whole token economy is very curious in that basically when I'm buying a token with WoW Gold, somebody else is, somewhere in the chain, somebody is turning real money into that token as well. So Blizzard is getting money that way, but it's like through a third-person proxy instead of getting it from me. So I don't know if I'm contributing to it or if I'm just, am I the customer or am I the product? I don't even know at this point.
I think yes to all.
You're everything, Bill.
So that's basically it for me. I made a genuine effort to try to play Crowfall until I realized that I had to update my patcher, and I ran it, and then I saw, oh good, 5 gigabyte patch that's going to take an hour and a half to download. So that was the end of my Crowfall attempt. But next time, for sure, once I get my potato-powered internet sorted out, then those patch experiences are not going to be near as blocking as they are now.
That's true.
Not so much internet troubles. Like I'm riding a 25 meg
troubles.
connection that I've been on for, 7 or 8 years now, that I just never bothered to update because it was quote unquote good enough. But they've added 250 meg fiber to my neighborhood, and I never knew I wanted it so bad until it was available. And now every download seems interminably slower than it really needs to be.
Well, I can tell you this. Yesterday, I got home from doing the grocery shopping, and all of a sudden, a very big flash and a loud bang just over my head. Lightning struck, and I swore, which is something you don't do in a lightning storm, because that's just asking for it. But it turned out that the lightning had took out internet and television and telephone in the entire city.
No.
And it was such a loud explosion. It's like, whoa. So it was only for a day, but God.
How did you survive? Did it not devolve into anarchy?
Well, first of all, I have a media server on my PC that took care of my Netflix withdrawals. And I have an unlimited 4G high-speed mobile connection. I could
thinking
tether to anything I needed to. But it still felt primitive.
But how did you run all that power? Did you lose power too, or just the connection?
No, just the actual.
I'm imagining
life's
like Day
essentials,
After
television,
Tomorrow clips
phone, internet.
playing.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It was exactly like that, and a little bit of The Walking Dead. But that's just the population here. I mean, you wouldn't know. Never mind. Enough about my little town blues. Chris, what did you play?
We're going to talk about Lotro in just a little bit in the show, so I'm not going to talk too much about that, but I've been going through the Lotro Mordor expansion and having fun with that. Played some Guild Wars 2 with Bill and by myself, getting my engineer through that Heart of Thorns story, because I'm strongly considering Hollowsmith as my main for Path of Fire. That's looking really, really exciting. I did jump into Crowfall last night and did some testing a little bit. It's still, like, a campaign is live, but there were only 40 people on there. And I had to go on the East server to get that many people, so it's super low population. It was later at night, so, it was getting near midnight Eastern time. So no kidding, there's going to be less people. But, I was talking to people in the chat room and getting going, and just didn't have a great experience. Mostly, I think, because it's a test environment and there were a few people. So I didn't do any PvP. I just crafted for a while. So it was an interesting thing to do that. Hopefully, as the game progresses, it gets to be a little bit more of a game and less of a testing environment. And WoW, Argus 7.3 have been jumping into that. That's been a blast. Fun. It's almost like a mini expansion, the amount of content that's there. It's more of the same of what Legion gave us, but in a different skin and a different narrative and tons of fun. And last but not least, Titanfall 2. Frontier Defense is a fantastic update for that game. Great PvE, waves and waves of enemies sort of thing. I'm up to the medium difficulty. Myself, my kids, we're all having a great time with that, with Titanfall 2. I just clumped down as a Legion and let my railgun roar.
I love Titanfall 2. I love the single-player campaign. It was just perfectly paced. Very nice Peter Cullen-like actor. It's very great. Very nice game.
Yeah. One of the best character development and stories that I've had in a very long time. Really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. So that was a ton of fun. So that's what we have been playing. Before we get to our Patreon mention, I want to say a couple things. First of all, on our poll, how many MMOs are you currently playing? We're actually split between 1 and more than 5 or more, 50-50. So there's a bunch of people that are playing a bunch of games, which is kind of interesting. Didn't expect that. So we're going to start a new poll coming up here, which is what MMOs are currently in development are you looking forward to? So there's going to be a few different choices that you're going to have for this. First of all, and this is for everyone in the live show here. You're going to have Ashes of Creation, Crowfall, Camelot Unchained, New World, Ship of Heroes, City of Titans, Orbis VR, Anthem, and Sea of Thieves. Gentlemen, before we get to our chat room, which one are you looking forward to? Bill, why don't you start? Not all at once now. Are you still there, Bill? Did we lose Bill? I think we lost Bill. Harry, why don't you go?
What were the choices again?
Ashes of Creation, Crowfall, Camelot Unchained, New World, that Amazon MMO, Ship of Heroes, City of Titans, Orbis VR, Anthem, and Sea of Thieves.
I must say, Ashes of Creation is good on paper, but maybe we'll get to that later in the show. But the ideas are attractive. Mm-hmm. I must say, I'm a bit weary of Orbis VR. Not just because it's a very small team doing it, but also because I do not think VR is suited to port games as we know them to the medium. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm mildly curious about Sea of Thieves, but Anthem is the one I'm looking forward to, actually.
What we have to talk, because you talked about Sea of Thieves, and what are the developers calling it, Harry? What are they calling it?
The developers, not me, the developers are calling it a shared world adventure game, also known as a swag.
Now, for those of you that weren't in the pre-show, the groan that escaped from the depths of Harry Hall's soul in the pre-show was hilarious. You're not enjoying that term?
I'm not enjoying that. No, I'm not.
Why not? Why not, Harry? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the
Everything is wrong with that term. Can we please not twist the knife and just continue? I said Anthem. And that's the answer I'm sticking to. I'm not sure if it was in the list, but that's the game I'm looking forward to.
All right,
because BioWare is not a bad developer. They used to be great, but currently they're just not a bad developer. And I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with Destiny and how much. I'm hoping this will deviate.
Bill
more
is
than
too.
But I'm actually, this is just between you and me. Bill's not here.
But
I'm worried. What I'm worried about is we used to have this World of Warcraft King of the Hill battle that is it another WoW killer? And then we got a slew of World of Warcraft clones. And that was not good for the genre of MMOs.
Right.
Now we have Destiny, and Destiny seems to be doing the same thing. We had The Division. Ubisoft is doing another one of those, and there is this Anthem coming up, and we have Destiny 2. Is this shared world shooter, drop in, drop out, shared world adventure? Maybe we could call it the swag type of game. Is this the new? Is swag the new WoW? Is basically what I'm asking.
I
actually think that's kind of an interesting trend. I mean, unfortunate naming aside, when MMOs came out, basically the amazing part of it was that you could have the entire world at your fingertips, and you could play with people across the planet and hundreds to thousands of them all at the same time. That concept was really appealing. And then everybody met everybody else in the world and realized, the only people I actually like are these 4, so I want a game like that.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a theme, Bill, that comes up in our MMO discussions so much.
It is. It's really
don't
unfortunate
mind the
how
game,
often
but people
that a game
kinda
is ruined
suck.
not by the game but by the people.
Like, that's
Like
your
this is. I
thing.
mean, it's. It's
Elder Scrolls
I mean, yeah,
Online.
it is. It's really sad. I mean, that was a factor that was. I mean, 20 years ago, that was never the problem. You didn't quit a game because of the other people playing. You quit a game because it was dumb and stupid and you were bored of it. Now, the community can really make or break any online game, well, almost any game, period, actually. Even the single player games, if you've got a toxic enough community out there, it can ruin it. I mean, I think the latest Mass Effect chapter, granted Mass Effect kind of did it to itself in a lot of ways, but the echo chamber around how bad it was, I think tanked that game almost as much as the game itself.
But it's something I've seen with Echo Arena, multiplayer game in a fairly small pond. I mean, virtual reality isn't a million. There are about 1 million headsets sold all total, so it's not the biggest community possible. But I was genuinely surprised how welcoming people were to new players, and I was one of the first in from the beta on. I've never stopped playing, so me and other people have actually made it our job, and we are matched with beginning players, level 1s, to take the time to explain the game. And I've seen the responses on Reddit, actual amazement, like, how is this possible? People are nice and explaining the game and telling us how it works. And it's very simple. It's no fun playing against people who don't know what they're doing. So we'll
teach them
what they're
75%
doing
of the
and
game
then stomp
and
on
just leave the last 25% for them to figure out on their own.
Yes! But seriously, the best way to build a community is to make sure that everybody is as good as possible, because then you have good games. That is actual, and it works. And so far, VR has been this exclusive little heaven for that kind of behavior. We used to have that on the internet. It used to be like that in EverQuest in the old days of MMO. People weren't asshats to begin with. We were genuinely happy to see another person, because it proved that we were playing a subscription to play with other people.
I found the same thing in several times through Lotro's growth. The free-to-play expansion, there were tons of people that were just around the newbie zones helping people out. That happened a ton as well. Eve, they just prey on you and you die. A lot.
That's
okay.
But
Yeah.
then you should
Don't
have.
disagree, Harry. It's
You should have joined the corp. You know how important that is in Evil Mind.
well, you know what?
And
I
let's
did
move
join-
on to the
I
next
did
subject.
Join a freaking corp.
I
And
think
then
we
I
have to
was
move
left.
on. Okay,
I was left.
Patreon.
Okay,
we have to talk about Patreon.
Before we get to our Patreon, hey, there's a giveaway if you're watching live on Twitch. Just hover over the video, click on the icon, and you can enter the giveaway for some more gigantic skins and boosts. Thank you very much, Perfect World, for sending us those codes. So we do want to say a big thank you. One of the biggest reasons we have reached 300 episodes is because of our patrons and the support that you have shown for the show. We will be having a special patron-only giveaway over on the Patreon page, so you can check that out. I'll be sending out an email about that for some swag from the MMO Reporter swag closet. Not shared world adventure game,
Could you
but
stop saying
actual
swag?
stuff.
Could you please
so
stop
can get
saying
some
that word?
swag from the swag closet, and then you too can have some MMO Reporter swag at home.
Now, is it correctly
Did I say it
pronounced
enough,
swag, or should it be the SH sound and it'd be swag?
So yeah. Swag.
Okay, you just made the list of enemies, Bill.
So yeah, we do thank our patrons. They are the reason why the show keeps going. If you want to show your support, you can go to patreon.com/MMO Reporter. Okay, so we have got some entries into the giveaway. So we are gonna give it away now. So our winner for this giveaway is Halion City. You won again. You won in the pre-show. If you are welcome to get 2 codes if you would like. you are entering, and then give them away. You won't be able to use the skins twice, obviously, but if you'd like to give it away to someone in the chat room as well, then you can do that if you would like to. That
I know I
is
should
up
have entered.
to you. Yeah, you should have entered. So thanks, everyone. We're going to move things along now to a little bit of some gaming discussion. All right, so we're going to start our discussion here. We decided not to do so much news stuff, but to talk about some big topics that we wanted to discuss. And I know one of the things that we've talked about a few times on the show here is Ashes of Creation and our thoughts about that. It's a very ambitious game. This thought of the node war sort of idea, where people are going to progress a node into from a camp to a city to a large fortress and castle and all that sort of stuff, is very enticing. It looks like a very, very promising game, but there have been some issues as we've been going through the development of the game. First of all, the use of the Unreal 4 engine does cause some difficulties. That doesn't mean that the developers can't overcome those difficulties, but it does add another layer of issue for an indie development.
I was just going to say, because I'm reading about that point in the notes before we started.
Go ahead.
This is apparently a really common thing that that MMOs being developed on Unreal are experiencing, and it's almost always ironed out as you get further into development and people do perform optimizations on the engine for their game. But it's almost like a momentum type of movement that gets that fits in other styles of games, like more action oriented games, but in an MMO feels clunky and weird, and it's apparently a very common phenomenon that's cleared out almost universally. So it's not necessarily the Unreal Engine is awkward or bad for MMOs in general. It's that it requires its optimization that out of the box isn't there, but comes later.
Yeah, it's I don't know. That's something that has been a constant discussion in this the discussion around Ashes of Creation is the use of the Unreal 4 engine. I mean, you look at the gameplay that we're showing now, which is pre-alpha footage, doesn't look that bad. But when people are saying that the difficulty comes from when you get more players onto the screen, Unreal 4 is not an engine that is meant for a large amount of players on screen at the same time, which is what an MMO is all about, right? So that's
it's not the swag.
No, it's not the swag. Not the swag. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. What?
I was just, because one of the points you made, I mean, the node war, I'm very curious if there must be some law of unintended consequence hiding in plain sight there. Because players are usually not behaving the way developers expect them to behave. And I'm very curious if at certain points cities will become too stable, and I wonder if there's enough incentive to actually found new ones. I mean, I can see at the beginning, the first 6 months, to be this interesting system, but how do you keep this thriving in the long run?
Right. Yeah, it's tough, right? The other things I want to mention too was the amount of marketing and push and well, I guess, okay, so in the Kickstarter, and I know we've talked about this on the show before, on the Kickstarter, they the developers actually had a referral system, which is against Kickstarter rules. You're not allowed to have a referral system in a Kickstarter where if people use your referral code, they get, or if someone uses your referral code, you get money. and then it gets more backers into the Kickstarter, right? You're not supposed to be able to do stuff like that, but they did. And some people made a lot of money getting the game backed by putting out their referral codes for the Kickstarter. And what I'm worried about is with the amount of push for stuff like that and the amount of stuff that could be seen as kind of underhanded, when history shows that when games are so hyped and so pushed with marketing and use systems like that, there's often some issues with depth within the game itself. And I want to
I feel like it could have gone. It can go two ways. Like this could be a sign of one, a bit of a bit of naivety applied to the development of the game. Like this is the theme that I think that they're trying to push out there is that they're trying to recreate old style MMO tropes, like kind of get back to like the Ultima Online style of real open world type of gameplay, and where players have a lot of ownership over the world itself. And it almost feels like that kind of naivety might have kind of gone over to the business model that said, oh, well, referral codes seem like a good idea. It seems like a great way to help out the community. Let's just put that in. Whereas at the same time, like that's one direction it could be in, and the other direction could be is it was just sneaky that you're trying to almost pyramid scheme build the game before it even starts, and which is obviously scummy and horrible. It's really hard to determine which way it's going right now because the narrative has actually bounced back and forth on this game a couple times. So it's really a long way of saying, I don't know, maybe.
Well, Bill, go ahead, Harry.
Oh, I was just thinking, I mean, I'm mostly worried. If Chris Roberts learns about this pyramid scheme referral thing, that's not going to be good. Because he has bred a legion of blind followers. I think one of the defining features of a high-rolling Star Citizen player is the lack of brain cells. So if you combine that force with a referral program, God help us all.
You still no love lost for Star Citizen, huh?
They're still asking money for it. If they couldn't build it for 100 million, why could they then build it for 150 or 2? It makes no sense, and I feel like I'm the only one who sees it.
Oh, Harry, don't ever change. Don't ever. Change. Bill, you also brought up a risky and
so at the PAX West promo, this is something I just reading about Ash's creation. I kept hearing people say, "What was up with those hats? What was up with the hats?" And of course, not being there, I didn't actually see it. We've put a link in the show notes of the link in the show notes of the hat in question, and I can absolutely see the problem with it. Like so they decided that the correct thing to do to get people to generate interest in their game was to mimic the Donald Trump style red hat to make MMOs great, with the slogan "Make MMOs Great Again." I feel like this is again one of those things where they don't really get their target audience very much, because I can't imagine. I mean, this is marketing your game with this hat is akin to marketing your game by saying, "Here, buy this Hitler mustache."
No.
I'm so glad you didn't. You said it because I was going to say it's like giving away a swastika hat.
It's not a good joke. It's a polarizing joke. Best case scenario, there's going to be some people that support that say this is hilarious. I get the joke. I want my MMOs to be great again as well. And then there's going to be another side that just viscerally looks at that and says, "Ew!" Like I had a little stomach reaction when I saw it, and I can see. I mean, it's not even so much whether you're the politics of it or whether you agree with it, you disagree with it, whether you hate or love or whatever. It's cutting your audience in half to make a stupid joke. At best, cutting your audience in half. It's dividing your audience into chunks, and
Even
it
if
just
it's just ironic,
it was
still, it doesn't doesn't work.
yeah. Oh, there you go.
Completely unrelated. Is it player versus player?
I think there's a big aspect of it similar to Albion Online because you're building your space, right? But there is PvE as well. It is not completely PvP.
If there's one wall joke, I'm out.
That was weird.
I'm gone.
In the game, I mean, in the game.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in the podcast. Yeah.
No, in the game.
So, I mean, it's definitely a polarizing game in all aspects of it, right? There was, for a while, there was the possible link with the first person who did the DayZ, right? The survival infestation stories game that was a absolute bomb on the Steam store, right? And many people call it an outright scam. So I mean, it's a little bit worrisome, and I hate that because it looks so pretty. And you know me, it's all about the graphics, not about the content. It looks so pretty. I kind of want to play it.
Well, and that was the thing. Prior to PAX, that's all we'd seen were basically marketing videos and trailers and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Nobody really knew anything about it other than the bullet points of features that they wanted to put in the game and the completely controlled cinematics of it. This is the closest thing to gameplay that we've ever seen in the last week. So at least there is something now. But yeah, I still have a lot of skepticism around this game because there just seems to be just little things that pop up here and there that really speak to a lack of self-awareness about what they're actually trying to do and what they should be trying to do.
Yeah. Totally. I totally get that. So there you go. There's some thoughts on Ashes of Creation. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. If you have some thoughts on Ashes of Creation, we'll have all the links at the end of the show. So we're going to move on. Got another giveaway. We've been having a giveaway for Elder Scrolls Online, and I want to congratulate Misfit Gaming in the chat room. Send me an email, chris@MMOReporter.com, and I will send you a code. Congratulations, Misfit. Let's move things along now to the Lotro Mordor expansion. Bill, you've been in it, Harry's been in it the least because he hasn't been in it at all, but you've had one good gameplay session. What was your first impression of Mordor? It
was all nostalgia for me. I'd been away from Lord of the Rings Online for probably at least a year because the game told me so that I hadn't been in there for a year. It was nostalgia in a good way because it really reminded me a lot of the things that I enjoyed about Lord of the Rings Online initially. It really kind of bespoke the telling the story of Lord of the Rings Online, and that being the focus of the game. Like the combat mechanics are clearly not the focus. The art. I mean, I could notice subtle improvements compared to the game, say 5 years ago, for example, but it was not like world-changing, improved or better or anything like that. But what they did do is really focus on kind of the themes of Lord of the Rings Online and kind of speak to about the atrocities of war and kind of the a little bit of the innocence of the characters that are involved there. It's not just go and kill everything. There's the story theme really kind of kept it close to what you would hope for from Lord of the Rings Online. So that's kind of the takeaway that I got from what I've played so far. And that's, I think, what I like most about Lord of the Rings Online is that it builds a world special kind of its own. It's not a typical swords and sorcery type of game, although it does seem to trend that way a little bit over time. I notice a big difference compared to your typical MMO out there in terms of sticking close to those Lord of the Rings themes and values.
Yeah, the narrative has always been the strongest part of the Lord of the Rings Online. Harry and I were talking about it in the pre-show, and they've done a fantastic job of continuing that into Mordor, ending the story of the ring, and continuing now with the Black Book of Mordor, which is its own story, which is really, really interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences, and then I want Harry's thoughts on because you haven't jumped into the game yet, you haven't played. So I'm just going to throw on, as we're talking here, just a background of my stream from the other day. So with Mordor, what I found right away was the challenge of that first area of Mordor, and I've seen it in a couple of other posts as well, but I actually have a pretty good explanation. I was geared like crap. I had no gear. The world was dropping item level 300 gear, and I had some gear. I think my lowest was item level 192. So my gear was very far behind, which explained why every fight was a challenge, till about halfway through that first zone. Then things got a lot better, and it was a much more Warden-like experience of I basically just bash my face into the keyboard and I don't die, which is what Wardens are like in Lotro.
You're still sticking to the Warden, okay?
Oh yeah. My main is a Warden. I love my Warden. Warden Wonder, yay! The story is great. There's some really fun open world dungeons, really big, expansive spaces. They're being used in a couple of different ways. First of all, I saw quite a few groups that were forming raids and then kind of farming the dungeon. They'd stand in one place and different people would go out and grab mobs, bring them closer, and then the whole raid would kill them. There's a couple things that happened with that. First of all, there's this new currency in the expansion called Ashes of something. And you get these ashes by using an item you've got in your inventory to deconstruct basically regular weapons and armor, not legendaries. And you get these ashes, and you can spend those on gear and stuff. So people want to get a lot of these ashes to get the best gear, so people were farming these dungeons. The other thing is I grouped with a couple of people a few times to go through Barad-dûr, for example, and that was fun. So the thing is, in every stream that we're doing, I've got like 4 or 5 people that are telling me that they're not going to be playing the expansion until December. They're just going to be waiting because they might as well. They want to play with points. They don't want to play to pay with real world money. Part of that might be the tiers that they had for the real world money purchase, the 40, the 80, and the 120. But the base price was the same as all of the other base prices for the last 2 or 3 expansions. So I don't know about that. But the fact that the community is so split, I mean, that's kind of weird to me. I'm used to an expansion and everybody goes in and you all play the expansion together, sort of thing. But now with a large portion of the community being 4 to 5 months later, that's really weird. Did any of that affect your decision at all, whether or not you were going to pay for the expansion, or were you just not into Lotro right now and you're going to get it when you can just pay for points? Is that affecting you at all, Harry? You haven't been in the game yet.
Well, the main reason I haven't been playing was because as I said, I left MMOs behind me a bit. But I am very curious about Lord of the Rings Online because it's my great MMO love. So I want to play it, but I am definitely going to wait for the points to clear. I have a lifetime subscription back from the Codemaster days. So actually from the launch time of the game. And I'm not if I have so many points stacked away, it would be ridiculous for me to shell out real money if I can do it with points. And I'm not in a hurry because it's not like let's face it, there is not a real game scare. We aren't lacking good games.
No.
So I don't mind being first. I'm happy that people are trying the game, the expansion now, and help beta test it. So when I get in, it's actually working as intended. They've nerfed everything. It's easier. They've bumped up the experience points. They will deal with all the leveling things, and yeah,
I haven't
happy
had
with that.
many issues with bugs at all with the game, so it's kind of cool.
I think balance is one of the things they might get into, because one of the things you were talking about before we had this little snafu is the fact that it's difficult to get started because the zone is difficult and requires better gear than most people have.
No, I don't know most
regularly
people.
playing.
No, I wasn't regularly playing beforehand. I had taken a bit of a break. I jumped back in for update 20, which was the one right before. Played through the basics of that. So I was behind. That was my fault, not the game. If I'd been playing regularly, I'm sure that I would have been in better shape. To give an example for that, I went into the expansion as a warden with 26,000 morale. I was getting feedback on Twitter from people who hadn't gone into the expansion yet, were just playing outside of the expansion zone, and were at 50,000 morale. So the problem was definitely me.
Okay, well, I will probably have the same problem because
Yeah.
I still have to get. I had that 100 level boost, and I stopped playing because I got all those packs of gear that I had to unpack, but my bags were full, and I had to decide what to save and what to. So that took me about a half hour, and I said just nope, and I'm still there. So but I want to see Mordor.
Yes,
I have to.
Yeah, it's a really really.
But
cool
apparently one doesn't just simply walk into Mordor.
expansion. Actually, I rode a horse. And it's
I
not,
know that was one of the worst, most dated possible reference
was.
jokes I could make, but I had to.
Yeah, but
It's also a little bit on the nose. Because especially considering Chris's experiences, if you hadn't heard the show, Chris's experience of just trying to walk into Mordor actually ended really badly. So he's got empirical evidence that you don't just walk into
Isn't
Mordor.
it one does not simply walk to Mordor, not walk into? Oh, okay.
Into.
Well, then I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
Pretty sure it's
And
into.
what's new?
Yes.
What is new? So yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting move. The one thing we mentioned on the show, and I mentioned on Lotro Reporter as well, is the packages for the different tiers are strikingly similar to the publisher Daybreak Games packages for EverQuest 2 expansions. There's 3 tiers. There's one that's the base, one that's the middle, about $80, and one that's the top, about $120. It was eerily similar between the two. So I have a feeling that perhaps the pricing choices were publisher based, which is the publisher's responsibility. That's what they do. That's why they're the publisher. So
I hope. I'm worried. Did they honor the lifetime subscriptions when I went to Daybreak?
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I was getting cold sweat. Like, oh my god, my character, my account, my subscription.
No. Well, Standing Stone Games is still their own thing, right? They are their own company, and Daybreak is just the publisher.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's been a weird journey for them as well.
Oh, and oh my gosh, I'm sorry, but the less than enthusiastic response for what Turbine is doing now it makes me sad. I was looking at their Game of Thrones game that's coming out. It looks like, I don't know. I don't want to say it because I don't want to be rude. But yeah, it makes me sad.
I've
Anybody
read
else
that
sad?
too, that it's not exactly screaming up the charts.
Yeah, and their last one, their Batman game, was also not. I played it, but it was not anything that really was exciting. For me.
I don't know.
I know, right?
We
Yeah.
don't need to rehash the whole history of Turbine and everything, but it's been they strayed away from their roots, and it shows a lot that basically they tried to do what they thought was cool and valuable, or not cool, but valuable at the time, trying to follow the market, and they
Yeah.
are making decisions like somebody who's just trying to follow the market and not actually make quality.
But for me, the feeling of what happened to Lord of the Rings Online is kind of emblematic to the MMO market in general. It's like, from the feeling for me, but I have the sense that it's kind of the golden age is behind us, very much so. And it will take a couple of years before we have an actual revival of the genre, just like we got space simulations and a couple of other genres that came back.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's the period where again, everybody was enamored with the notion of seeing everybody online all in the same space is over, and there's going to be a new take on it. There's going to be a swag take on it or something like that revitalizes the genre, or the genre is just going to change and it's going to be a relic of the past, kind of like almost like turn-based strategy. I mean, there is still turn-based strategy, obviously, but it's not near as pervasive as it was at the time. So, I mean, that's a possibility too. RTS has appeared, and now you see 1 or 2 turn-based strategy games out there. It's still as good a style as it was back in the day, but it just isn't near as popular. And maybe it will be again.
One of the little weird, but that's probably just me, and I'm not trying to, but I noticed when I started playing Destiny this weekend that I had some trouble getting used to the controls again, because honestly, I've been used to firing virtual, actual guns in games and using spells and stuff by moving my hands in a way that's, I mean, there's this zombie shooter, you have to be able to shoot a gun to hit something. And then getting back to a control stick and playing Destiny the old-fashioned way was jarring. And to take that a little step further, I wonder how much I'll be able to enjoy Lord of the Rings Online's archaic, semi-turn-based, WoW-style button rotation system.
It's, I don't know how to word this. It takes some adjustment. Time to kill is slow. There's a lot of discussion on the stream while I'm just running through my rotations of attacks. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it. So.
Yeah, it must be relaxing.
Yeah, I'm having fun. Yeah. Speaking of which, Destiny 2. Harry, you've played it. How MMO-ish is... Because I kept on calling Destiny MMO adjacent. How MMO-ish is Destiny 2?
It's full on MMO. It's full. It takes cues from World of Warcraft, from Guild Wars, from basically Warhammer Online, if you want to take it that far. Because the open world actually is an open world. There are zones that are not connected in the sense that it's not like you can go from one zone to the other. You have this ship to fly to them, but if you're in a zone, it's basically a World of Warcraft type zone with all kinds of missions popping up with quest givers. Not that you go to quest giver and get 6 missions, but there are. It is the go to a guy, do his job, go back to the guy to get your reward kind of thing, with all kinds of adventures happening in between. Public quests that are very much like, I want to say, tabula rasa-like in defending points, and it is very much, everything you do is reminiscent of an MMO mechanic.
Right.
Except, of course, the shooting mechanic, which is, even that is stat-based, but it still feels like a very solid Halo-like shooter.
Oh, cool. That's really exciting. What about the story? Don't give anything away, and I know you've just started, you haven't finished it, but how is the story? I did think that was a strong suit, especially of the DLC that came for Destiny 1. Maybe not the original as much as the DLC, but how's Destiny 2?
Well, when they decapitated the character that was played by... No, I'm not... Ken, that's how you spoil things. You say spoiler first, and then... Never mind. That's just
I thought you were going to say Sean Bean, and I'm like, oh, well, that's par for the course.
Yeah.
It's a given. Yeah, okay.
No, it is actually... what was the question again?
How's the story,
the story.
Harry?
Yeah,
how's the story?
The story is much better. I mean, I'm not saying the quality of the story itself is much, because it's standard sci-fi fare, but it's told much better than Destiny 1. In Destiny 1, you just did stuff and then you went to this deck of cards to check what the freak happened in the game.
Right.
And that's a very odd way of telling a story. Here we have genuine cutscenes, a dialogue that reveals motivations, and we get a look at what the bad guys are doing. We have actual mission descriptions and voiceovers that help you get it. So it's much more cinematic and much more. Well, you can actually understand what's going on, which shouldn't be a bullet point.
Yeah.
This is not something that they should be. Oh, finally, you can tell what the story is by playing.
Huh.
Well, that's the thing. It's good.
That's funny.
And they do a couple of really fun things. I mean, this is not a spoiler, really, but you do know that at the beginning of the game, you're moving to a new hub, right?
Yes.
Yes. Well, the way they've set that up is pretty good. It's a very nice way to turn it into a clean slate. Everybody's back to level 1, literally. And you have a new social hub that is rural, let's put it that way.
Right.
It's interesting. It's interestingly done.
Cool. I'm excited for it. I'm sad that I will not get to play Destiny 2 until October because I'm a bad PC player. Boo, right? Because we don't get cool things. Isn't that why we don't get cool
Well,
things?
You have a PlayStation 4. Get it on a genuine game system.
Bill, do you want to take this one? No. No. Who doesn't have a console? Hey, hey Bungie, if you want to send me a code, I am right here waiting. Just so you know. Yeah.
Get it on the PlayStation 4 though, not on the Xbox One. Play it on a good console where actual people are.
Oh, that's painful.
Hey, even Microsoft doesn't want you to buy his console. I mean, they went out of their way during 2 E3s to make sure that nobody got the current Xbox One console. And then they got the new one and named it in a way that's incomprehensible to everybody. And then they're saying, okay, it's great if you buy our console, but every game that's going to come to it, you can buy it on PC as well. So there's no way to say this without any curses. Who the fuck wants to buy an Xbox One?
Harry?
Yes.
You understand. You just need to calm the F down, right?
I
You
do.
know that?
I understand.
Okay.
I know.
Whew.
I'm going to my quiet space.
Shadergate. Is it as bad as people are saying? For those of you who don't know, this is shaders, which were once collectible ways to change your armor color. It was a whole scheme for your whole armor set. Are now one-time consumables. First, your thoughts, and second, is it a big deal?
See,
Well, it's shitty that... Oh, sorry.
I was
go
just going to say, throw in what little I know about this. My own perspective is that I don't understand how it can even be a big deal. Like it does. Sure, it's another piece of monetization, and I don't know how anybody can honestly be surprised when you see obvious cash shop fodder like this rolling into a game anymore. It's just part of life. That said, I'm the kind of person that happily goes through my game looking like a clown. So, I mean, I wear mismatched armor and I wear the best stats rather than the best style. So, meh. This is small potatoes to me.
Is that your official answer? Meh?
Meh. Yes.
Okay. Got it.
Capitalize the E just to be different.
Okay. Got it. Harry, your thoughts?
Well, the fact that they're doing this is kind of crappy, but it doesn't really matter at all. And it's if this is the only thing that's wrong with Destiny 2, then we have a really good game. Because
Yes.
it's so there's so many. It's just I'm going into my quiet place.
Understood.
It's unimportant. It's not important.
And the developers have said that you're meant to get tons and tons of shaders through regular gameplay. I think what people are upset about is the fact that you can buy them for real-world money.
know what they're upset about, and genuinely, and that this is the part I do understand. Regardless of the actual effect of the shaders, Destiny is not a cheap game, and if you buy the base game and you're into it, you know you're basically prolonging the inevitable of shelling out for either the DLC piecemeal or for a season pass, which will add another $30 to $40 to your purchase. So at the end of your Destiny run, you'll probably have invested close to $120, $150 before you're done. And that's a big investment that many players are actually willing to make because they love this offering. But to then nickel and dime them to death over the colors of their outfit is kind of crappy. And I understand people get upset because it's not about what it actually does. It's about the feeling of being taken advantage of while you're already investing a lot of actual money and time into a game.
Yeah. Well, I have to say I'm disappointed. I kind of agree with you, and I hope that they fix it by the time it comes out for PC. Is that a bad thing to hope? I don't think they'll ever fix it or change it. Do you, Harry?
Yeah, I do think they will change that.
You think they'll change it to non-consumable, collectible sort of thing?
That's what I expect. I expect that they will still sell them, but I think the one-use thing is going to either that would be terrible if the ones you buy were one use. No, I think the ones you will buy will not be one use.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the step they're going to take or something like that.
Interesting. All right, we are going to move along to our favorite memories from the show, and we've got some from our listeners as well through Twitter. But before we do
what show?
What show? Yeah, we have
memories from what show?
This one, Harry. This one. Not this particular one, but MMO Reporter in general.
Because I remember when we had that problem. That was not a good memory.
Thanks,
Let's
Harry.
move on.
Before we do that, though, and before we move on to the memories, I just want to congratulate, once again, another winner, lucky guy, Misfit Gaming from the chat room has won the first MMO Reporter swag closet prize of a Marvel Heroes t-shirt and a bag o' pins. So congratulations for that. So let's move things along. Harry, what are some of your favorite MMO Reporter memories?
I have a lot. The basic memory of getting up very early every Friday morning to do we did several recording days, but getting up very early around 5:30 because of the time difference and getting some coffee and getting ready and everything is still dark and then getting to chat about MMOs with you guys was always fun. And even though the actual moment of waking up is horror, it was always worth it. So that was a very good memory. But especially going to PAX twice, that was something that was a lot of fun. Even though I despise the fact that there is actual video evidence of some of the things I've done there.
You know what?
There's no reason to run the drunk clip. There's no reason for that at all.
No, I actually thought I would show your favorite coverage that you've ever done at any convention. I'm sure.
No, not the stinky footboard.
This is the coverage of the stinky footboard that you recorded, and I remember watching this, and you look at your face, and there's the confusion as to not just why they would name it that, but why anyone would use that. And you're trying to be polite, but
I still haven't got an answer for that.
The look on your face, is quite fantastic as you go through that. It was quite an interesting experience. And of course, you know what? I would never, ever, ever play your drunk clip, Harry. That would just be wrong.
You're just playing for time, aren't you? You're just playing for
that.
friggin' time to get the friggin' clip out. You're just trying to make me talk about... We're going to talk about something else, Chris. I don't have anything to blackmail you with at the moment because I don't have any controls.
Harry, you look...
It looks...
You look a little drunk.
It's actually... No, it doesn't.
You
No,
look a
I'm
little
completely... No, I'm sober. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's
I
a
think that
Western
might be-
Hemisphere thing. The gravity is different over here.
Right.
It was. That's it. That's exactly,
exactly
the
what it
rotation
is, yeah.
drew me off.
Yeah. I didn't want to embarrass you, so I didn't play the clip. I hope that's
Oh,
okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Bill, what were some of your favorite MMO Reporter memories?
Well, I mean, one of the earliest ones, because I can't remember if it was my first or second PAX, but the Lotro party we had over at GameWorks at PAX Prime, or what I'll always refer to as PAX Prime, because it's not PAX West, it's PAX Prime.
Prime.
It was the release for Moria that they threw the party for, if I remember correctly.
No,
that's a
it was
long
just
time
they
ago.
threw a party every year. It was not for Moria. Moria was actually came out right before we played. This is after the free-to-play transition because I had a whole bunch of old Moria expansion pack boxes, and we gave away our last one here at this PAX. But this was post free-to-play transition. So.
Oh well. Oh right,
Yeah,
that's it.
Moria
That was
still the paid expansion. Yeah.
that was the big event. Was the free to play. But yeah, I mean, we were mic'd up through the entire place. That was actually a really big audience. It was a ton of fun getting up there and speaking, and that, like I said in the notes there, I think that's one of the biggest groups that I've ever actually publicly spoken to. Certainly the biggest group for gaming related stuff. So that was a great
How
time.
many people? How many people was that?
Oh, there was, yeah.
Oh, that's big.
It was.
Yeah,
It's
intimidating.
It's a big space. Like you look in the space there was probably 60 or 70 people at least on the top floor, and then there was a whole bottom floor around the bar and everything like that where there were people set up. So it was good. I mean, I don't think all of them were there necessarily for Lord of the Rings Online, but they all were subjected to our voices. So that was good, and it was really neat too. That was the first time I think I met Rick Heaton, so that was a fun time there. And we've obviously to Chris and I anyway, have met up with him several times at PAX since then, and that was a really fun memory. And the other thing I still remember quite well is my first VR experience. I was sitting down with the Oculus Rift for the first time and enjoying it. It was fun, but the biggest thing that made the impression on me was I had no idea what to do with my glasses. Do you wear your glasses with the goggles on? Do you take the glasses off? Does it actually make it better or worse? Do you get sicker or not wearing your glasses or not wearing your glasses? I still haven't
You need
gotten
your glasses.
I still haven't got a good answer to that. But it's a weird thing because I'm nearsighted, so, and the screen is only 2 inches away from my eyes, so you'd think that it
Doesn't
wouldn't be a
work like that.
factor. No, because you're trying to focus at a projected difference or a virtual
Yes.
distance, if you will. So
And it actually matters. I mean, a friend of mine has an Oculus Rift, and he had to actually get new glasses because the ones he had were too wide to fit in the Rift.
yeah,
That's
But
hilarious.
there are.
You-
But there are inserts now. You can buy insert lenses that are
a prescription?
prescription.
No way.
Oh, that's
I didn't
cool.
know that.
I was
That's
thinking
cool.
that you almost have to get contact lenses actually for that, or that's another way to
Well-
deal with it. But
Those inserts are third party, but they work, and they have a special little 3D printed thingy that you push inside
That's
it,
cool.
and then then the problem goes away.
that is
Awesome.
cool.
That is really cool. All right,
So get a Rift, both of you.
are you offering
Damn
to
it.
buy?
They actually had a big
I'm offering to play with you.
they actually had a big price drop for the Rift here in Canada.
Yeah,
What was it, like
it's-
6 weeks ago or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes, that was the summer sale,
Yeah.
and they are not going back to the big price that it was, but it's like $5.49 was the sale price in US dollars. And they're going to $4.49 was
Yeah.
the sale price. They're going to $5.49.
$6.79 Canadian.
Yeah.
But that's the full package. You
Full
get touch
package.
controls,
Yeah.
you got 2
Correct.
sensors, and a lot of free games.
Yeah.
So it's a good
Yeah.
good deal.
I've still got
Just buy it.
computer upgrades to do first, but yeah, that is absolutely on my list.
There's
And get a 1080 Ti
And
just to be
to
sure.
the
Yeah.
chat room. It's $3.99 US. It's more in Canada. Okay, my favorite memories, PAX, is definitely up there. Mostly getting to chat with everyone who has recorded shows for us, and just being able to talk about our cool stuff that we've done, and the excitement about that sort of stuff. That's always been some of my favorite stuff to do, and I've really, really enjoyed that. So the other thing, of course, is the meetups at PAX, which are always so much fun. We've done so many of those over the years, about 5 of them, and it's always been a blast. And the last thing that I wanted to mention that I really enjoyed was many years ago, I got to go out before ESO was even announced, and I got to talk to Paul Sage and Matt Firor and talk about the game as it was being announced. So it was a really cool experience. They flew me out to Baltimore, and I really enjoyed that trip, and just being part of that press tour for that. I got to see their studio, all that sort of stuff. Just really, really enjoyed it. So those are some of my favorite memories. And of course, the last but not least, some of our best friends, Jack and Jason from Seattle, started our whole group of friends that we have in Seattle there with them, where they just said hi to us in Rift. They were Lotro listeners, Lotro Reporter listeners. They saw that Selene and I were in Rift. They said hi, and we became the best of friends. They've been here. We've been there. It's been absolutely fantastic. So those connections that go in games are pretty darn cool. I really like that. Okay, so I think that it's time to start to end things up just a little bit here. Harry, if people could only play one game, what would it be? What should it be right
before, Echo Arena is it's such an amazing, mind-altering new way of playing. This is the future of gaming. It's the most amazing virtual reality game, and it's also, I think, one of the best competitive games, period, that I've played ever. So, great community, amazing experience. I know the price of entry is steep, but if you get a chance maybe to play with at a friend's house, or there are demo units set up at different locations, go play Echo Arena. It is amazing.
Awesome. Bill, what about you?
Well, for me, there's nothing today that I need you to run out and go play right now, but in 2 weeks, everybody should be in Guild Wars 2 Path of Fire. I think that this is they've done a lot of very good things in this expansion. They've kept the scope really tight, and the vibe is that they're basically doing better at all the things that they've already done well. And that seems to be where they were trying to focus. So definitely get yourself out. Don't pre-order, because we won't ever tell anyone to pre-order, but be ready to buy Path of Fire on day one.
Understood. The games I think everyone should be playing right now, I've got 2 of them. ESO, if you haven't played it since launch and you didn't like it then, go back and try it now, because it is a different game. I think both Harry and I, who have jumped back in, both agree that it is well worth another look. Right, Harry?
Elder Scrolls Online the Morrowind expansion was so much fun. And you can genuinely play it as a single-player adventure and not be bothered too much by other players if you so choose. And the open world thing, that you are just auto-level to every zone, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much better than it was at launch. It finally found its own identity.
It did.
So I agree.
It did. And I just want to mention this last one just for Harry. Yeah, Lotro Mordor is fun. You should play Lotro. Okay, that is our episode 300 here. Before we end things off, our last poll is split between Crowfall, Camelot Unchained, New World, and City of Titans as what MMOs currently in development are people looking forward to. And we want to congratulate once more time. I'm going to try to say this right. It's Halcyon City for winning the MMO Reporter Mega Pack of 2 t-shirts, a book, and a whole bunch of pins. So congratulations. Before we end things off, though, Bill, if people want to get oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to mention really, really quickly, thanks to Ken from Chicago for sending us a favorite MMO memory, and I'm just looking for it now because it's taking me too long from it. But he did send it. First time hearing Harry's Grind Like It's 1999 song. #TheRage. So thank you very much, Ken from Chicago, for sending that to us. Bill, if people want to send us their messages, how can they get a hold of us?
Well, send an email over to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You can visit us over on Facebook, too, and leave a comment there at facebook.com/MMO Reporter. You can tweet at either Chris or I, either at MMO_reporter for Chris or at MMO Bill for yours truly. You can give us a call at 616-666-6778 and leave us a voicemail. Let us know what you think there. And like we've always said, our policy is if it's less than 50% swears, we'll put it on the air. You can head over to YouTube at youtube.com/MMO Reporter Network and leave comments on the videos that we put up there. You can tie it all together. We have all of these things linked up and everything over at our website at MMOReporter.com. If you like what we do, if you like what we want, and you want us to keep doing it, you can head on over to patreon.com/MMO Reporter and help us out there. You can head over to twitch.tv/MMO Reporter and subscribe there. Twitch.tv/MMO Reporter for that. Or if neither of those things are your style, head over to MMOReporter.com/support for other ways that you can help us out.
Thank you so much.
Did anyone ever call that number and leave a message in the past year?
Not in the past year. It's sad. We want messages.
And before that?
Yes, regular. About once every couple months.
I can't remember.
Well, that's okay. You have no memory.
Nurse, the voices are back. Who are you? Nurse?
Harry, thanks so much for coming back out and recording with us. It has been such an absolute honor having you back here. Thank you.
Oh, it was absolutely your pleasure. I mean, my pleasure. I'm very happy to be back. I'll drop by once in a while.
It would be wonderful. And of course, thanks, Bill, for 300 episodes. You have been the most constant of all co-hosts, and you have been absolutely glorious. So thank you.
Oh, that's thanks. Thanks, Chris. And thanks, Harry. It's been an absolute treat to be on with you again. My soul is lighter for having had our biannual chat.
Yay.
All right, folks, it has been a pleasure. It has been wonderful. You have been wonderful. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel over on Twitch to follow what we're doing over there as well. Take a look at us on YouTube. However you want to consume the podcast, please do so. We sure appreciate you listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Thank you so much for 300 fantastic episodes. We hope that you enjoyed them, but most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
See you in game. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got.
Thanks
no
for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOReporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOReporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.